Hi, everyone, and welcome back to CircuitCast, the hospitality series. Today, I have with me Gonzalo Gambertolio. Gonzalo is a hospitality operator and entrepreneur who transitioned from 8 years in the fast-moving consumer goods world into vacation rentals during COVID. He's now general manager and partner at Amos Vacation Rentals. He's helping transform the company into a professionally run hospitality brand, building standardized premium guest experiences, operational systems, and using tech-driven decision-making to elevate service with scaling growth. Gonzalo, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. A pleasure.
Let's kick things off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? How you, I gave a bit of your story, but, let's hear some detail if we can, how you got to where you are.
Um, as you mentioned in the intro, I was in the corporate world during COVID. I was, buried with video calls and a lot of just long hours in front of the computer. And I always had this itching of being an entrepreneur. And at that time, Amos Vacation Rentals, which was owned by my brother and a partner, was looking for a general manager. And, I raise my hand and I say, I want to give it a try. I think this can be like a soft landing into the entrepreneur world. I started off in the middle of COVID, which was not a great time. No reservations, no travel at the time. But I just I thought it was the right time to do a career change. I can say, looking back, that it wasn't bad at all. I mean, I think it was a good call.
So COVID, fortunately, is mostly in the rearview mirror. Certainly the impacts of it on everything that everybody's doing are kind of behind us. Tell us a little bit about, as you say, you started during COVID, rentals were down. What did you do? How did you use that time to sort of work on building the business and getting it ready to scale?
Well, there were a lot of procedures that we had to take into account. Like, we had to leave the rooms empty 24 hours between reservations. At the time there was this idea of, is the virus, floating in the air, or we had to sanitize the elements. We were more detailed on the cleaning process in the description of the listings to give the guests some kind of confidence that the place was properly sanitized. Miami was a place that was pretty flexible during lockdown. It was one of the first ones to really open to everyone. And something that benefited us was that it became a vaccine destination. A lot of travelers from South America or other places couldn't get the vaccine as soon as you could get it in Miami. So many people came to Miami to get this shot, actually. So many of the inquiries that we got were asking for a place to stay, and also, how can I get a vaccine if I'm not a US resident or so on? But that kind of helped us, start building new reservations. And then, let's say early 2021, that was like a peak year for vacation rentals. We went from nothing to just so many reservations, everybody trying to make up for the time lost that they couldn't travel. So it really changed the industry and the Miami market. Like, up to this day, 5 years after, we are still saying that the rates and the occupancy is trying to find its new normal, because we had pre-pandemic, then we had the pandemic, which was pretty much nothing there. Then we had a huge peak of reservations and rates and occupancy. And from 2021 onwards, the rates and occupancy has started to slow down. And we are trying to find what's the new normal after these crazy years, pre and post pandemic.
Tell us a little bit about the types of properties that you guys are representing. How does that work? Is it,
It's mainly condominiums, and many of them are located in buildings that offer resort or hotel style amenities. So they have a front desk 24 hours available. They have a heated swimming pool, a gym, beach service, where you get beach chairs, an umbrella. You can go to the spa. It's sometimes confusing for the guests because you can book directly with a hotel, or you can find rooms at the same place on the different booking platforms. But the main difference, I would also say, that these condos have a kitchen, a washer and dryer, so you can actually live there You have everything you need. Or you can just go down to a restaurant and get your clothes washed. Like you can do both. I mean, you can live there, like trying to replicate the hotel experience, or you could actually be eating and cooking every day at the property and doing that kind of accommodation, which became very popular during COVID. Like, after COVID, a lot of companies allow remote work. So a lot of people were just in the States, you could get a tax break if you work in Florida instead of some other states. So people will move down here for tax purposes because cost of living is lower here than, especially because the weather is nicer and you can still get your New York job staying by the beach. So a lot of people came down to work remotely while also traveling around. There was this new trend of people traveling around the world. Self twice. I went to Europe for 3 months, 2021 and 2022. I would just, the time difference would allow me to visit around in the mornings and then work until 2 p.m. But it was kind of crazy, but you could do both. You could visit around and you could still work remotely.
So are you still seeing, a significant amount of that sort of work tourism?
It definitely slowed down, mainly because the return to office was major in the States and many other countries. But some companies like Airbnb, so they have a policy that you can work from any place in the world that you have a valid permit to work for 90 days. So you can be hired in the States, but you can spend 90 days outside of the States or wherever you want, as long as you have a work permit in that place. So there are definitely less travelers in that trend, but something new started. Like companies have to adopt a new way, be more flexible. Just understand that people want to travel. They want to be somewhere else. They want to be flexible. So we have less travelers in that mood of traveling and working, but definitely it created a new category. Like now we showcase in our listings dedicated work areas. Like a desk becomes something relevant in the listing. Like you can actually sit down and you have a desk, or the wireless, the strength of the network. How fast can I connect and so on. So that's something that you can showcase now to say we can attract digital nomads.
Right. So tell me a little bit about Amos Vacation Rentals. What's different about your company and the way you do things than, say, the next guy? I'm assuming there's a next guy, right? Miami's a busy place.
The company was created by two realtors that, you know, in real estate, many people are, or I would say the wise people in the industry, they try to specialize in one area. And vacation rentals are a different animal from annual rentals. They require a lot of operations. So what the founding partner of Amos were doing at the time, they would sell this kind of short-term rental allowed properties, and they will refer the management to a company that was specializing in this. But they found out that they were not being honest and transparent with the owners. So at one point they say we need to create our own company. But the whole purpose of this was because the management wasn't done professionally and transparent. So from day one, we have tried to be very transparent. If something wrong happened at the property, we will let the owner know. We don't want to hide things. We give our owners an owner login so they can check if the apartment is booked, how much anyone is paying for the apartment. If they want to block a night for personal use, they can do it anytime, 24/7. They don't need to ask. They can log in and just go ahead and block the dates they want. So we want to keep the business like open books. Take a look. This is what's going on. If we made a mistake, we will let you know, because most of the owners live overseas. They're absentee owners. So they just need somebody. They want somebody to be looking at the apartment and taking care of the apartment. And at the end of the day, this, like any business, this is about creating relationships. So if you don't have trust, it's impossible to do business, I think, and especially in this industry, because they're trusting you a very valuable asset. So we just tried to show them that no matter what, maybe we didn't rent it as many times as they wanted, but we will show them the exact performance and whatever is going on in the apartment.
So do you is it mostly short term? Do you get some sort of midterm stuff? What's your average sort of stay that you're seeing?
Well, in Florida, there is a gray area because anything over under 30 days is considered a short term. But then, like most traditional leases are a year or at least 6 months or longer. So whatever is between 30 and 6 months is like a gray area. So our average length of stay is 4 nights, which is like very typical short term rental. But we have some condos that only allow 30. So we do some of those, we call them seasonal rentals. We have had guests for 6 months, for a full year. It really depends. The condominiums really set the rules. Some condominiums don't allow stays under 30 days, and some others don't allow stays over 6 or 3 months. So it really depends. We are not the typical property manager that would take your annual lease, do a rental, and hopefully renew it or change the tenant every year. We do turnovers like, on your property in the high season twice a week. You get 2 guests a week. So you're turning over the property, you're cleaning the linen, you're reloading the amenities, and you're fixing whatever it's out of order to get a new guest the following night.
So do you focus only on Miami or do you expand beyond that? Are you doing the Keys? Are you doing Hollywood, that area, or what? How far do you?
I would say we are in the Miami metro area. We have from Fort Lauderdale to Key Biscayne, which is like from north to south, pretty much the whole metro. We try because we saw that some colleagues were trying or were doing business in remote locations. We always thought that the value of our business was having boots on the ground. Like we can be there if you need something. We tried to manage properties in Argentina because we are from Argentina in 2 cities, Buenos Aires and Cordoba. So we had a local partner there. It worked out in terms of getting organized and the operations and so on, but it was just too much work and the margins were very, very slim. So we decided to focus in Miami. But there are a lot of property managers that do several locations, and they just standardize the back office, and they find a good local partner to take care of what's going on at the property.
Right, but as you say, you're really feeling like boots on the ground, trust with your owners, focus on one area, do it really well is sort of how you want to play the game, right?
I mean, I could be wrong, but most owners when they come, they want to see you. You can walk around the property with them and show them, I think this needs an update. If something happens, like there's some kind of meeting with the board of the building, or they want to know that you can attend. But at the same time, we are trying to scale, and I'm trying to have my team start to take over those things. Like last month, we have several walkthroughs downtown Miami. I was not in town, but one of my staff member was able to do walkthroughs and meet the owners firsthand. And then, because if you have more than 50 owners, it's hard to take care of all of them every day. You need a team to be answering the questions. So I'm pretty sure you can do the same in different locations, but it definitely takes good procedures, good standards, and finding the right local partner or staff member to represent, because they're going to represent your brand wherever you are.
Yeah, so it's safe to say that even with, really good SOPs written and documented and a structure and everything, if the local partner isn't really the person that you need, that's still not gonna work, right?
You need someone, that's for sure. Like if you try to do everything remotely, I don't think it's going to work. And I have seen large companies try to do that in Miami. I have lost owners to those companies, and they came back because they said it was a mess. Like I had a leak at the property and no one showed up. They called me to tell me that I needed to get a plumber at the property. And
Yeah.
that's why, I mean, we have a job because there are problems. If everything was so easy that you could do it remotely, most owners would do it themselves. Some try to do it, but it's very time consuming. And at some point, you need local assistance.
So, you've established yourselves, you have a growing number of properties under management. What do you think, give us a little bit of a view. I mean, you talked a little bit about it in visiting with the clients, the owners and so forth. How do you spend your day when you're running the company?
It's funny because in this industry, you start your day, you plan or do certain stuff, and during the day you find yourself out of track doing things that you didn't account for. It's very dynamic, and it's, as I said before, it's very relational. So sometimes you get an owner and they call you, or we try to keep in touch with them. We use WhatsApp. So we have WhatsApp groups with the owners, and they can, send questions every day, all the time. So sometimes they want to talk about something, and you can't say, "Hey, let me finish my market performance report, and I will be back with you in 3 hours." Because if I reply to you, I will be out of track of my day planning. So it has a lot of interruptions. We talk to realtors, we talk to guests, we talk to owners, we talk to developers, we talk to the condominiums associations. So there is a lot of relationship building. I would say that's the biggest part of the business. And then there is a lot of operations. And I take good time to analyze the processes. Like, why are we having so many issues with the same day turnovers? The guest checks out in the morning and you have another check-in in the afternoon. So we're looking at processes and trying to get that better, streamline the operation. And luckily, this industry, most of the sales happens online. So there's a lot of information about rates, occupancy, trends. So I spend a lot of time looking at future occupancy. What are the rates looking like? This year, Miami is going to be one of the hosting venues for the FIFA Soccer World Cup. So there is a lot of there's a lot of high expectancy on the rates that we're going to get for the World Cup. So I look at the rates every day and I see that the bookings are not coming in. So I say, I think everybody's pricing too high. So it has a lot of revenue management, and there is a lot of information to make your pricing decisions. And I like that analytical side of the business. That's where I spend most of the time. One day, a guest sets the kitchen on fire, and you have a fire in the unit. Or the following day, some guests are trying to use a fake credit card. You need to evict them out of the property. So you never know what kind of adventure you're going to find. It's very dynamic. It's I say frenetic. I always see like colleagues or operators, they don't stay forever. They spend like a good 10, 15 years, maybe building a strong company, and then they just sell the company and they do consultancy, or they work for some software company that caters to the industry. But it's very intense. Like, if you want to spend 30 years doing this, it's going to wear you out.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. You mentioned FIFA. So let's talk about that for a moment. With FIFA coming to town, you see price increases. Do you see owners choosing this moment to make upgrades and updates to make their properties stand out? Or, tell us a little bit about what's going on around the FIFA thing.
Regarding the Soccer World Cup, there are high expectancies on what's going to happen. We have had major events like Formula One, the Miami Open for quite some years, and we always feel that we have more expectations than actual bookings. So I'm being cautious about FIFA. I know there's nothing like the Soccer World Cup, like Formula One or tennis, great events, but FIFA is just a major event worldwide. And you touch a very delicate fiber there with making improvements to the property, because the owner profitability on these properties is very slim. So some owners say, when the property makes money, I will do the upgrades. And sometimes they need to do the upgrades to actually make the property make money. So you make it better first, and then you hopefully make some money. I think that the World Cup would definitely give us great occupancy. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good the property is, someone is going to book it. Now, if you have a good property, you can probably book it for a lot more. But no, I'm not seeing owners like, some of them should really consider getting a better TV, because the fans are going to watch some games at the stadium, but some others, they're just going to watch the game at home or some other game that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They just want the properties to be booked for a lot of money, and hopefully don't have to spend any money at it. But they're giving up their opportunity to occupy the property just to to have somebody, which is, I know that's a lot, and that's asking them a lot. So hopefully the ones that need, and I mean, we try not to accept properties that are not in good shape because it's my brand at the end of the day. Also, I'm offering you property under my brand name, so I don't want to take a property that has mold issues or doesn't have reliable wireless. But definitely, like, some of them could get a nicer TV for the World Cup. Maybe that's something that would suit a lot of properties.
So maybe not a major upgrade, just because, as you say, there are other events, and the results, the outcome isn't always as big as we think it might be, right? And maybe the World Cup's different, or maybe it's not.
I mean, to make money out of these properties, you cannot rely on selling what I tell my owners, the golden night. You need to build a consistent revenue every single month. August, September, October, which is low season, and March, April, which is like the end of the high season. But you're not going to make money if you sell one night at $800. You need to sell 22 nights at 350, and that's going to give you revenue, and that's going to make the unit profitable. So they always look at the rate. They always take a look at how much are you getting me per night for this room, and I say, no, how many times I'm getting you a certain rate. That's what's going to give you. There is a KPI that combines the rate and occupancy. It's called the RevPAR, revenue per available room, and that's the true KPI that you need to chase. Like, I need to get this certain RevPAR. If I get that, I'll be fine. And then it doesn't matter if you get it selling 30 or 50 nights. Just you're getting the revenue. That's the objective.
Great, that's really useful. So let's talk a little bit about looking beyond this year. I mean, what do you see for your business and the business in general in Miami? And then maybe after that, we could talk about what you see kind of on a bigger scale.
So Miami, a lot of construction and development is going on in Miami. I mean, the supply of units for short-term rentals is growing at such fast rates that even though Miami is a city that gets more visitors every year, if you get more listings than new demand, there's no other possible result than lower occupancy. It's very important. I tell owners sometimes they buy brand new properties at a condo that has 400 units, all furnished by the developer. You need to make them stand out. You need to make your unit different from other 399 units in the same building, because it's going to be a lot of properties, brand new properties, all looking the same. So how am I going to stand out from this? So you can choose a theme and say, okay, I'm going to give you this unit the olive theme. So you can put a fake olive tree with a wallpaper and some pictures from the Mediterranean. And then when people look at it on the booking platforms, they say, okay, I saw the olive apartment and then all the other apartments. This is giving the guest a lot of leverage. 50% of the bookings in Miami are being booked 14 days before check-in. So a lot of hosts, they get, they freak out because the unit is empty and it's only 14 days away. So they lower the prices. So you're educating the guests, or you're giving the guests incentive to wait until last minute because you get better prices. But I also think this is a change of trend, as we talked about, working and traveling at the same time. And the younger generations, they book the Airbnb at the airport. So they just book
After they arrive, right?
well, I mean, let's say before they fly, but they get a good flight and then, okay, I'm going to go to Miami. There are 18,000 short-term rentals. So, you're going to get one. You're not going to run out of place. So you just take a look at the airport. And I mean, that's the trend that is building. So everything is becoming very last minute, which is making it harder to plan and to say, okay, what should I do with rates? I have, it's the start of February and the month is looking pretty empty. So the traditional line of thought would be, I need to decrease my prices but then you start looking at the market and then you see that the rest of the market is also falling behind. And then you look at the booking trends and you see that the booking window is shorter and shorter, and the stays are becoming shorter. They're coming for, like, traditional holidays will be 7 days, 2 weeks, hopefully. They're coming for 4 nights. So it's a quick trip, very last minute. And then all the platforms, and especially one of them, has given the guest a huge leverage. 70% of guests that book at that platform repeat bookings in the same platforms. And then they did a great job because they have really protected the guests, and they have created an app that is easy to use. It's very convenient. If the place is not up to the expectations, you can file a claim. Most likely, if you file a true claim, they will give you money back. So let's say you go to a hotel and the wireless is not working for 4 hours. The hotel might tell you, well, all other devices are working. You can come down to a lobby and try the wireless here. And then you say, this is not fair. And the hotel will say, I do not agree. And that's it. Now, if you book through a platform and you call the platform and you say, hey, the wireless is not working at the property, most likely the platform will issue a refund to the guest. So for the host, it's becoming very challenging to be up to expectations and dealing with guests that have a lot of leverage because there's a third party in the middle that is ruling who is right. And these platforms, they found out that it's better to favor the guests and to have the guests on the good side than the host, because there are so many of us. As I said, there are 18,000 listings. So if you don't want to deal with this, get out of the way. A lot more listings behind you that would probably host these people and wouldn't mind giving a refund for this kind of situations.
So how does that work with you managing managing the property? Do you guys have your own portal, your own platform, or is the property still represented on one of these other platforms and you're managing the back end, or how does that all work?
Yeah, since I started in this industry over 5 years ago, we have attended it's the BRMA International Conference, which is the Vacation Rental Management Association International Conference. A great place if you're starting in the business and you want to see what everybody else is doing. 3,500 operators attend this meeting, and from day one, they always say you need to grow your direct bookings, in-house bookings. Stop relying on OTAs, online travel agents, because they set the rules. If they want to change commissions, they will. They did recently. So you need to try to have your own guest days. For us, 30% of the revenue is made in-house without any OTAs, and we need to keep growing. So yeah, I would say I have my own website. You can book the same properties in my website for less, for 15 to 18% cheaper than if you book it on one of these
Sure, because you're
platforms.
not paying the overhead of the other platform, right?
Because I'm not paying them commissions.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
and you need to work on that.
how do you promote that to the, hey, I'm going to wait until 2 weeks before I book it? How do you make sure you're still visible and attractive to people in that window?
Well, if you have a booking, your days will just show unavailable until those dates are released or canceled, whatever. I mean, unfortunately, or I mean, it would be a mess if many operators do and they end up doing double bookings. But it would be a mess if I kept my dates open in my own website and then closed at an OTA. The trends of the OTAs have pushed us into giving very flexible cancellations. Like, I offer a full refund if you cancel up to 5 days before the check-in, and I'm not considered flexible. I'm considered moderate. A flexible cancellation policy these days is I let you cancel your booking a day before and you get a full refund. Just one day before. It's impossible to make up for a reservation. Let's say somebody booked you for 10 days and they decide to cancel the day before check-in. It's very hard to get those 10 days rented.
Yeah.
So you can make your own rules. Like, you can book directly with me. I give you a refund if you cancel 7 days before check-in, which I think is fair. And you will save money because it's cheaper to book directly with me. And we keep your contacts in our database. We will send you offers. If you come back, you will get a discount. So that's the way you build your own consumer base.
What do you think the future holds? Looking, 2 or 3 years out, what do you think the landscape looks like for the industry?
Well, everybody's talking about AI, and I don't think AI is going to be a magic solution, but I definitely think that AI will really help us do a lot of this relationship management that we have with the guest. Like, I would really like my customer service to start getting involved in high value conversations only. But today they take the same time and responsibility in doing a quote for 3 months and to reply a message that says, can I send packages to the premises? Is there any charge for that? I don't want a human to be replying to that. I would really like my AI agent to be able to say, these are the rules, even like just general questions about the property. And if you really train your agent and if you could create a good knowledge base, an agent can actually do a better job because the answer is going to be standardized and it's going to take the time. And hopefully your agent won't be on a bad mood or, won't be having a bad day. They would also
Yes.
be happy and very hospitable. And then you save your human resources for high value conversations. That where I would like my business to evolve, like use AI for the basic stuff, keep humans for the relationship making, for the relationship building.
Fantastic. That's a great piece of advice for people. Gonzalo, thank you so much for your time today. Just circling back, how would people find Amos Vacation Rentals? What's your URL, phone numbers, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, you can find us online at www.amos, that's with double MAMMOSFL.com. We are on Instagram, amosfl.com, 305-934-44. That's our phone number. We do WhatsApp. So if you're calling from outside the United States, you can call us for free. You can send us a message. info@amosfl, that's our email. So yeah, we are omni-channel, 24/7. So if you want to talk to us, hopefully we can give you a good answer.
And you stand out as a trustworthy, open book, caring rental
Always.
property manager in Miami, where you've got a lot of properties
a little
available.
something I want to add on that. Being transparent, I have had so many opportunities to gain a customer or create loyalty in that customer because of how we reply to a bad situation. The apartment was flooded just the day you arrived, but we worked all night to move you to a different apartment, and people were mad at the situation. But when they left, they were really glad that we were behind them looking for a solution, and we were there, even if that wasn't the place they booked. They know that we will always be backing up whatever issue happens. So bad situations can turn into a great way of creating loyalty with your customers if you take the right decisions. And that means losing money sometimes, but you can create loyalty in those bad situations.
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
All right.
Thanks for your time today.